Well, Sammo, this is interesting. I'm very happy to be able to explore the idea of making some kind of a tutorial video. I've never done it before. But I'm going to try to move swiftly through it because there are many moving parts to this CraZ Coffe making experience. So I'll start by letting you know that I use this Bialetti and right now it has been used, so when you prepare it for the next cup, you will go through a series of steps there. For example, the remaining puck of espresso ground must be emptied, and I'll begin that right now just so you get a full idea of the time and all the effort that it takes. Pour that out. It's a messy process, so there are subtle tools that I think are required if you want to contain the mess, and there are techniques. So one of these techniques for me is whenever I clean this system, I keep it all within the scope of this one sink area. So just now the water flipped out and there's some remains of coffee grounds, and that can very easily splash in different places, so I tend to keep my hands down here in the sink. I have a little bucket right here that has all my coffee grounds in it, because this does create an enormous amount of coffee grounds. So I keep that here, and I am mindful of the drip at the bottom of this. When I pull it out, this is the little thing that holds it. When you pull it out, it can drip, so I keep my hand under it. I bring it over here, tap, 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 and all the splashing and such is pretty much contained in that little bucket. Every once in a while, a little drip pops out, but the mess is a large part of the challenge or the exploration in creating this kind of a cup of coffee, while also aligning or feeling good about it the entire process. It's amazing what kind of a reaction you can have if coffee gunk spills over onto your floor or whatever. Oh, just the idea. So I wash it out. And normally I have the most tender, surrendered paper towels to support me in this, but not today. So I'm using a regular towel, which is not really advisable considering the staining qualities of coffee. But I'm actually exploring using towels rather than paper towels these days, so that's interesting for me personally. But paper towels really do the trick. Wipe it, say thank you, and throw away. Alright, next step. We got a clean little guy here. We'll go ahead and start the grind. It takes about 30 seconds or so. I have a Capresso. I don't know if you're going to be able to see that very well, but this thing weighs about 20 pounds. And it's got settings here where I can turn the top of this to go to, in this case, between fine and medium setting. And then it's got a little drawer here that collects the coffee grounds. The burr grinder, in this case, makes the grounds homogeneous, as opposed to one of these, blade grinders that, who knows, it's very random as far as the size of the grind particle. So what I do is I take 1/3 of a cup, a little shy, I suppose you can see that it's actually a little over in this case, so I'm going to have a little bit more grind ready. And I may have to scrape that off and put that directly into a little bucket. without using the coffee at all, which I try to minimize. So we started the grind. I'm going to let it go. For what it's worth, I'm using a Major Dickinson's blend, Pete's Coffee. This stuff is as good as gold. Now, in the meantime, we're going to fill this bottom piece up to a little line that you really can't see. It's right, I guess, inside there. Ah, I think you can see that line now. I'm going to fill the water up to that line. Set it there in weight. Get my little coffee collector. Here's something I got from the AeroPress. This is an awesome little funnel. So I put my hand here and I create, I guess, contained system for getting the coffee into this little puck. That's a very handy solution. So we'll dump it and we will be confident that coffee will not spill because this thing is such a inherently, I guess, unruly process with these little coffee flakes. I've put a lot of emphasis on containing the mess, so I thump, 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 thump until we get pretty much this stuff settled. And I got a heaping portion, so I thump it. I don't want to pack this down. I want to keep it loose, otherwise the Bialetti doesn't work as well. It has a hard time pushing the heated steam through. So anyway, that's pretty good. So I'll take that, I'll plop it right into this prepared water we've got. I'll take the top of this, wash it out pretty much. Screw it on here. Alright, now that's pretty much the point where we begin cooking the coffee. I put it on about medium high. The important part is so the flame does not go outside the diameter of the bottom of the Bialetti if you have a flame burner. Alright, now that's about 4 minutes. So I stop, I put my timer, 4:00, start it. And now I'm going to prepare the sugar and the cup with the butter in it. So, this is my sort of, I guess, it's not Pyrex, it's like a glass, but it's strong. And I'll put about this much brown sugar, and you can put in sugar in the raw and stuff, but geez, this brown sugar is best. It's really intense. Now, sometimes you want to bring it back and gentle. Hey, go for it. There's a wide spectrum, obviously, to coffee. But I'm going to put about that much brown sugar in there. You'll see in a second. So without packing it, I guess you're talking about that much. And so when we get our first tablespoon of espresso, we're going to go, and that's an interesting ratio there. I vary it all over the place, but I like to get more espresso than less espresso, because less espresso will come up with a very thick foam after we whip this. Be really thick, and I like to have a little thinner of a foam and more volume of foam. So I'm going to put the first part of this espresso as it comes out probably just about a 1/4 inch above the the coffee here, maybe a little less than, maybe like 1/8 of an inch above the coffee, or maybe even level with it, because the coffee really sinks down and ends up being a solution, sugar and the early part of an espresso brew. So when I have that poured over, that's when I'm going to put my whisk with my drill in there and start, and that's going to take like a minute. So hang on a minute. This guy is ready. Number 2. Take your cup of coffee. In this case, I have an I Love PCB clear small mug. Or I guess it's a medium-sized mug. It's much smaller than my large mug. So if we were doing this with milk instead of butter, I would use the large mug, because I would put milk up to here and warm it. But since we're using butter, a little tab of butter is just going to sit on the bottom. We have about 1 minute left until we got to get started. So what I'm going to do is take a big stick of beautiful organic little butter here. I'm going to pull off about, I guess, that much. This is a lot probably because of this thick piece here. I'm going to dump this little piece in the garbage and just keep it right about, in fact, I'm going to dump a little bit more out. Right about that much of a butter tab. And I'm going to pop it right into the beautiful clear glass mug that I just bought a week ago. I like seeing the clear coffee, or the coffee through the clear mug. Alright, both of these things are set, ready to go. Now it's just a matter of looking at this Bialetti. It has just started to come into the reservoir. And one thing I didn't do was wipe out the inside, so there's a little bit of water from cleaning it, and that dilutes the first part of the espresso. So you want to really, I didn't wipe it out, so I have a little bit of a diluted solution, which is not a big deal. Now, I think you can see this, but I'll bring it up here anyway. 1, 2, 3, 4, that's about, whatever, that's a lot. Okay, put it back on the heat. And now, this amazing thing. I bought, trust me, this is a rig that I put together. I bought these from Amazon. I've already been through one of them, so I got like 2 the last time I repurchased. Anyway, start, just chill, around. Now, get that, and now we're going to keep it under whisk. You can do this by hand, but this is awesome right here. Now, I'm going to look at the Bialetti while it's right up at the top, so I have to take it off the heat. You have to time that. So you can't tell, but okay, we'll pause the whisking process to show you. You can't. Here's the top of the espresso, up to the very top. It's done basically, and at the end of an espresso boil, we want to turn the heat off before it gets to the very top, because it splatters a little bit. So this is an interesting part right here. Notice the color will go from dark brown. And if you didn't put too much of the coffee in there, you'll see the sugar crystallization will take over, and the color will turn almost to white, or at least to a light tan. So in our case, I did put a lot of espresso, into the sugar, and so we're going to have a thinner and thinner froth, or foam. They call it espuma. in Cuba. This is like basically a Cuban coffee we're making. So I'm trying to whip the crystallization together, and it's taking a lot of time to really try to force that foam out of that. So if we would have put a little bit of less espresso in there, it would have been a lot foamier, more dense. But I really like to be on the edge of that because I like a thin foam. So you can see what I've got now. Good stuff. I'm going to take the espresso, pour it into here, la la la. Has a tendency to drip. Then I'm going to take the espresso and put it in the cup with the butter, voila. And then to clean out the rest of the sugar and the foam, I use the rest of the espresso, voila, and pour it in there. So now you're pretty much golden. I do like to clean my instruments at the end because this coffee is going to stay hot plenty. So I set this guy down and wait, and then I take my sugar cup, wash it out, take that guy here, close the sugar up, and put the butter away. And I leave the espresso pot dirty. I don't worry about it. So that's it. That's it. It's about, realistically, it's about a 5-minute job. If I was doing this alone, it'd probably be about 5 minutes. But you know, if you were starting out, maybe you'd pay more attention. It'd be a 10-minute job or something like that. But since I've been doing it with butter, I do like to get a little stir at the end. Just makes me, I don't know, feel like mixes a little better. But the variants here are limitless. Like the foam here is maybe only about a 1/4 inch, but I've had foam down here to about 1 inch, you know, and it's like a sugary foam. It's the most delicious thing in the world. This is the kind of coffee I don't feel like I can even get at the high-end coffee shops. It's the deepest, richest. Happy. Hey buddy, thanks, this was fun. Love you.